قال محمد هو ابن مالك أحمد رب الله خير مالك مصليا على النبي المصطفى وآله المستكملين الشرفا وأستعين الله في ألف
الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Now, I'm going to speak about this section of the Quran and specifically regarding the emphasis used in these ayat. The first ayat is speaking about the fact that we will die, and the second one is speaking about the fact that we will be resurrected. Now, we spoke about emphasis being used and the reasons. And one of the reasons is if one denies something and you're responding to it. Now, that's obviously not the only reason why emphasis can be used, but if you put that in the back of your mind, that it's used for denial, then a question is asked. Is there doubt about death? I mean, even disbelievers know that we will die. But the thing that they deny is resurrection. So if you notice here, the emphasis used in these ayat. The first ayah, ثُمَّ إِنَّكُمْ, so inna, بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ لَمَيِّتُونَ. That's also for emphasis as well. So here there's two particles of emphasis used for death. When it comes to resurrection, ثُمَّ إِنَّكُمْ, so inna, يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ تُبْعَثُونَ. Indeed you, on the day of resurrection, will be resurrected. There's only one particle of emphasis. So question is, if this is used for denial, we know that resurrection is what is denied. No one denies that we will die. So why was double emphasis used for this ayah and just one particle of emphasis is used for this ayah? To understand this, let's look at firstly the context of how this was said. If we go back, let's go to the following, and this is actually where the transition takes place from ayah 11 to 12, and that's the wow here, which joins ayahs 1 to 11 to 12 and onwards. So in the beginning of the ayah, this is in Surah Al-Mu'minun, it's speaking about the believers and that they have attained success. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. Then it mentions the qualities of the believers, that they are humble in their prayer, that they turn away from idle talk, and so on. In ayah 10, it says, أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْوَارِثُونَ. They are the ones who are the inheritors. الَّذِينَ يَرِثُونَ الْفِرْدَوْسَ هُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ. They are the ones who will inherit Firdaus, and they will abide therein eternally. So this is a promise made for the believers. And that's the context that these two ayat come in. Now, if we look at ayah 12 and 13, it begins to describe the creation of man. وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ مِنْ سُلَالَةٍ مِنْ طِينٍ. And certainly we create man from an extract of clay. And then it mentions the process of creation. So, ثُمَّ جَعَلْنَاهُ نُطْفَةً فِي قَرَارٍ مَكِينٍ. Then we come to this ayah here. ثُمَّ خَلَقْنَا النُّطْفَةَ عَلَقَةً, and so on. And then the stages of creation are continued in this ayah. And then at the end, it says, فَتَبَارَكَ اللَّهُ أَحْسَنُ الْخَالِقِينَ. So blessed is Allah, the best of creators. And then following this, you'll notice it speaks of the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this actually was in the context of mentioning the blessings of our creation. And it was in the context of mentioning the believers. And if we actually look at the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned creation, He started off by saying, وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا. So here, there's the lam of emphasis, and there's a qad. This is also used for emphasis. So there's two particles of emphasis for the creation. And appropriately, we have two particles of emphasis for death as the opposite of life. Now, to a believer, which of these are more important? Death or resurrection? It's actually death. The way we die will affect everything after. Death is what is important for the believer. And death actually is when a believer is relieved from the trials and tribulations of the dunya. So in the context of the believer and in the context of blessings, death is more worthy of being emphasized. And resurrection was not in the context of denial, and therefore it did not need to be emphasized as much as death did. Another point of this is that death here, it's لَمَيِّتُونَ. The ism was used here, while here the verb was used. Death is a state that one is in, and then all of a sudden, he will be resurrected. And this is why a verb was used for resurrection, and why the ism was used, or a sifa, for death. Now, a final point about this, we have in Surah Al-Hajj, it mentions the stages of creation, similar to Surah Al-Mu'minun. There are differences, but here the context is actually directed to those who deny resurrection, unlike Surah Al-Mu'minun. So here, يَا أَيُّهَا النَّاسُ إِن كُنتُمْ فِي رَيْبٍ مِنَ الْبَعْثِ. O people, if you should be in doubt about the resurrection. So here, the mentioning of the stages of how we were created is done in the context of denial of resurrection. The response here, فَإِنَّا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ. So it's a jumla ismiya. So the creation was mentioned more emphatically than in Surah Al-Mu'minun. وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ. This is a jumla fi'liya. Now, in the jumla fi'liya, the spotlight is on the verb, on creation. While in Surah Al-Hajj, the spotlight was on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inna, most certainly we. And this was appropriate because in Surah Al-Hajj, this was said in the response of doubt and denial. Now if you go back, the ayat that come after it, look at the emphasis. ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّ اللَّهَ, so anna is used for emphasis. بِأَنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الْحَقُّ وَأَنَّهُ يُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى وَأَنَّهُ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ وَأَنَّ السَّاعَةَ آتِيَةٌ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهَا وَأَنَّ اللَّهَ يَبْعَثُ مَنْ فِي الْقُبُورِ. So notice how much emphasis was there for those who deny resurrection. This emphasis was not mentioned in Surah Al-Mu'minun. Okay? وصلى الله سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين.